flooded with questions over the winter and now early into the spring here about spreading your own fertilizer. The way fertilizer prices have dropped, buying fertilizer on the wholesale market has given a huge cost advantage for farmers. So,
well, yeah, it is huge this year, and the sad thing is, in a normal year, as a farmer, you can make $100 an hour spreading your own fertilizer, and that wasn't enough. It didn't get enough people excited. This year, they can make $500 to $1,000 an hour. Well, then they finally start getting interested.
Okay, well, let's talk about the practicality of this whole thing.
Yep.
If a farmer wants to take fertilizer, say he's spreading dry fertilizer, he wants to take it on the farm, can he do it? Can any farmer do that?
Absolutely. You absolutely can. Now, every state has different regulations. You may need to have diking, and diking doesn't amount to much. Don't think it's that difficult. It takes all of about 3 hours to pour a little cement around a building, and you can dike it. You can put metal around a building if you wanted to dike it. The other thing, you don't need any diking if you're going right to the field. On our own farm, we've taken some fertilizer, gone right to the field, dumped it in a truck or a fertilizer spreader. No problem, we're done.
Okay, well, what about the liquid fertilizer? You talk about dry, but what about liquid? Is there a big deal for farmers to get set up? I mean, how much is a semi-load of liquid fertilizer?
Liquid fertilizer, a semi-load would be about 4,500 gallons. On our farm, we just have 3 big tanks, 3 1,600-gallon tanks. We throw a semi-load in there. There's really nothing to it. Here again, you would want to have some diking around it. Not every state requires that, but we would encourage you, whether your state requires it or not, to have diking, especially if you're talking liquid fertilizer. Dry, it's not a big deal. I mean, if your state requires diking, great. Make sure you have diking, but if they don't require it, I'm not too worried about it. If you've got it in a building, where is it really going to go?
Okay, and one last question. This one we've been getting a lot. What about the guy that doesn't own his own spreader?
Buy one.
Are spinner spreaders good enough? How
Yes,
expensive are they?
$12,000 for a 6-ton spreader you can buy one for. They're getting a little bit tight in supply though, because so many, I mean literally thousands of people have been buying fertilizer spreaders this winter. So you may have a difficult time in finding one now, but yeah, they run about $12,000, $13,000 for a brand new 6-ton fertilizer spreader. And from our own research and things that we've read for many years, we've found that the spinner spreaders are going to be just as good as those airflow machines as long as those spinner spreaders are maintained very well. And if you buy a brand new one, you keep it yourself, you maintain it great, chances are it might be even better than an airflow machine that's 5 years old, that has heavy use and hasn't been maintained well.
Well, you can tell Brian's really excited about spreading your own fertilizer.
Well, seriously, on our farm, we save $50,000 to $100,000 at least every single year applying our own fertilizer. It's a job that on average pays us $100 an hour to do. I mean, I love that job. But this year, you may have the opportunity to make a lot more money than that. If your local fertilizer dealer loaded up at a tremendously high price and now you can buy fertilizer on the wholesale market for half that price, it's a really good deal. Let me say too, there are a lot of retailers out there that are really worried about this, and we've gotten a lot of calls and emails from these fertilizer dealers that are loaded up with all this expensive fertilizer. You know what? They just made a bad business decision. That's the way it goes sometimes. And as a farmer, I don't feel that I should have to make up for their mistake.
Well, if you're interested in spreading fertilizer on your farm yourself, it can certainly be done. There are certain regulations you have to meet if you're going to store that fertilizer for a while on your farm, but they're very easy to meet as well. But one thing that can be pretty easy too is controlling our weed of the week. We'll show you how coming up next.